Greetings, fellow dungeon delvers, and welcome to Dorans and Dragons, where we work together to come up with Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition builds for your favorite League of Legends champions. Today we're building Rell, the Iron Maiden. Rell was a childhood prodigy in the art of pheromancy. Her mother was driven to exploit her child's gift and to weaponize her in the Noxian political landscape. LeBlanc took notice of the child and invited her to a special academy, where she would enhance her powers further. Day after day, Rell would face combat with students, and after her inevitable victory, would be awarded with a fresh branding of a magical sigil that increased her power. The combatants were never seen again. On her 16th birthday, she had finally had enough, and broke into a forbidden wing of the academy, and discovered all of the former students had been stripped of their magic and memories. She realized they had been imbued into the sigils on her body. Rell destroyed the facility in a fury storm of iron and shrapnel. Now she roams Noxus, attempting to right the wrongs of the Academy, and one day take Noxus down for good. Before we get started with the build, go ahead and like the video and hit that subscribe button so you're always notified when we release our builds. We'd like to thank one of this month's Doran's Blade patrons, the other Berlin Boy. Thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to us. The other Berlin Boy chose Rell to build as part of the rewards for our Blade tier patrons. Come join us over on Patreon today for just $1 to get access to our awesome Discord community where we talk League and D&D all day long. Alright, now let's get into it. Here's a quick preview of the build. For race, we're going with Variant Human. Per usual, our stats are going to be determined using the standard array. For our stat priorities, we're going to max Intelligence and dump Wisdom. We do have a multi-class requirement of 13 in Intelligence, Charisma, and Strength. Our leveling path is going to be levels 1 through 5 in Paladin, and then go straight Wizard for 15 levels afterwards. Rell's passive, Break the Mold, is going to be Hunter's Mark. Our Q, Shattering Strike, is going to come from Steel Wind Strike. Her W, Pheromancy, comes from Vine Steed and Thunderwave. Our E, Attract and Repel, will come from Tether Essence and Power Word Stun. And finally, we get our ultimate, Magnet Storm, from Event Horizon. For race, we're going with Variant Human for the OP free feat. We'll take a +1 to Intelligence and Charisma, and Proficiency in Acrobatics for our horse leaping shenanigans. The free feat we're going with is Mounted Combatant, which will make our metal horseplay much safer for the horse. It'll give us advantage on melee attacks against creatures smaller than our mount, allow us to redirect attacks aimed at our mount to us, and finally our mount gains evasion essentially. Meaning if they have to make a dex save to take half damage or something, they take none if they succeed, and only half if they fail. For background, we're going to acknowledge the dark experimentation of Rell's past with the Haunted One. We're going to gain proficiencies in Arcana and Survival, and pick up the Heart of Darkness feature. People can tell that you've experienced significant trauma, and they're going to go out of their way to help you in any way they can, sometimes even fighting beside you. For stats, we're going to avoid bending the status quo by sticking with the standard array. Roll if you want to, but we need at least a 13 in Intelligence, Charisma, and Strength for multi-classing purposes. Our Pheromancy is going to rely heavily on our Intelligence, so we'll take that first. After that, we're going to need to dive into the fray, so having a high Constitution will help keep us alive. Next, we're going to grab Strength for multi-classing purposes. Now, the enemy ADC is trying to grab some CS, so we'll take Charisma to buff our Intimidation a hair or two to make them rethink that. Dexterity is going to be our average score to 10, and we'll dump Wisdom. For equipment, we don't need any armor because we'll be picking that up with a few spells along the way. The only thing we will need is a weapon. A lance is going to be perfect, especially once we get our mount. It deals 1d12 piercing and has a range of 10 feet. But it has disadvantage on targets within 5 feet, and you have to use 2 hands with it if you're not mounted, so keep that in mind. Alrighty, we're going to kick things off with some levels in Paladin to get our steed before fully committing to our Pheromancy. Paladins have a d10 hit die and give us proficiency with Athletics and Intimidation. They also have the Divine Sense feature, which allows you to use an action to detect any celestial, fiend, or undead creature within 60 feet. The other level 1 feature they gain is Lay on Hands, which is a pool of hit points you can use to heal yourself and others with an action. You can use this as a healing component of your Q. The pool has points equal to your Paladin level times 5. Second level Paladins choose a fighting style to boost our martial prowess. We're going to pick up the Guardian rune to a degree with Interception. You can spend your reaction whenever a creature hits a target within 5 feet of you. reducing the damage of that attack by 1d10 plus your proficiency bonus. We also pick up our spell slots this level, which fuel our Find Steed spell, and almost as importantly, our Divine Smite. Whenever you land a melee attack, you can spend one spell slot to deal 1d8 radiant damage, plus 1d8 for each spell slot over level 1. Thanks to our later levels, this is going to equal tons of spell slots. Level 3 paladins gain Divine Health and choose their Sacred Oath. Divine Health is a nice little passive that makes us immune to disease going forward. For what Rell's mother and the Pale Woman did to her, our oath is going to be one of vengeance. This is going to give us 2 Channel Divinities and some oath spells as well. Channel Divinity is a once per rest ability that aligns with your oath. The 2 we get here are Abjure Enemy and Vow of Enmity. Abjure Enemy forces a wisdom save on a creature that frightens it and reduces its speed to 0 if it fails. If it does succeed the save, its speed is still halved for 1 minute, or until they take some damage. Vow of Enmity gives you advantage on attacks against a single creature for a minute or until you finish it off. Now our oath spells come in at certain paladin levels. The only one we need to discuss for the build is Hunter's Mark, which will work as our passive. You choose a creature and mark it, dealing 1d6 extra damage whenever you land an attack, and giving you advantage on perception and survival checks to find it. 4th level paladins gain the first ability score improvement of the build. We're going to lay them all out for you here so you can choose as you please along the way. Since we're going for quite a bit of wizard levels, which have a horrendous d6 hit die, we're going to pick up the tough feat at this level. This is going to give us 2 hit points per character level, eventually maxing out at 40. At Wizard 4, we'll angle towards maxing our intelligence with 2 points. At Wizard 8, we'll hit that max level with another 2 points. And finally, at Wizard 12, we'll bump our Constitution modifier with 2 more points. Our final level in Paladin is going to give us extra attack and 2nd level spells. Extra attack allows us to make 2 lance strikes per attack action instead of 1. The only 2nd level Paladin spell we're worried about is Find Steed. This is going to allow us to summon our Iron Horse, though your GM should just use the Warhorse stat block. There's a long paragraph explaining this spell, but just to sum it up, you can speak to your horse telepathically within a mile, and if it dies, it can come back to life when you cast the spell again. And now that we've got our mecha pony, it's time to ramp up our Ferromancy with some levels in Wizard. As we mentioned before, Wizards have a d6 hit die and give us no new proficiencies. We will pick up the Arcane Recovery feature though, which for once will actually provide a lot of utility. Whenever you finish a short rest, you can recover spell slots equal to half your wizard level rounded up, meaning that at max level, we'll be able to recover up to an 8th level spell slot, or multiple variations of lesser ones. We also pick up some 1st level spells. Rell's Dismounted Armor is going to come from the Mage Armor spell, and another one we'll pick up later. Mage Armor is going to give your target an AC equal to 13 plus their Dex mod. With this spell and the other one, try to have your DM flavored as shards of metal forming around you. We're going to get Rell's High Flying Knockaround with a Thunderwave spell. You force a con save on all creatures within 15 feet, giving them 2d6 thunder damage and knocking them back 10 feet and prone if they fail. 2nd level wizards choose their Arcane Tradition to focus their magical practice on. We're going to go with Graviturgy and reflavor it as Ferromancy. This is going to give us access to the Dunamancy spell list and the Adjust Density feature. As an action, you can either double or halve a creature's weight, causing a variety of status changes depending on which you choose. Halving the weight of the creature will increase their speed by 10 feet, double their jump distance, and force disadvantage on strength checks and saves, while the reverse is caused by doubling their weight. Except for the jump distance, that's not really affected by that. Skipping up a few levels, 6th level Graviturgists unlock Gravity Well, which will allow us to move a creature 5 feet to an unoccupied space anytime they're targeted by a spell of ours, or if they're just willing to move. Level 7 Wizards learn 4th level spells. We're going to pick up the better version of our Ferromantic Armor with Stone Skin. Coat your flesh in shards of metal and gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage for an hour if you maintain concentration. Level 9 Wizards gain 5th level spells. Now it's time to get our Q with Steel Wind Strike, which will be making a reappearance next week. Spoilers. We're going to lash out with our lance and then choose up to 5 creatures within 30 feet. Each hit will deal 6d10 force damage, and then you can teleport to within 5 feet of one of the targets. For us, this is going to be more of an AoE Q strike, but I hope you can see who this is going to be perfect for next week. 10th level Graviturgists unlock the Violent Attraction feature. Whenever you see an attack within 60 feet of you land, you can spend your reaction to increase the damage by 1d10. Or if you see a creature take fall damage, you can spend your reaction to reduce that fall damage by 2d10. This feature has charges based on your intelligence modifier, and they recharge on a long rest. Level 13 Wizards learn 7th level spells. Our E is going to be gained from Tether Essence, which allows us to link to any willing creature and split damage and healing between both for an hour. Meaning, when we use our lay on hands on ourselves, we can heal our tether as well. 14th level Graviturgists unlock our ultimate, Magnet Storm from Event Horizon. As an action, you can magically emit a powerful field of magnetic energy that pulls other creatures for 1 minute. If a creature starts its turn within 30 feet of you, it has to succeed on a strength save, or take 2d10 force damage and have its speed reduced to 0. Once you use this feature, you can wait for a long rest to recharge it, or spend a 3rd level or higher spell slot to do so. At 15th level, we'll learn 8th level spells and pick up the stunning portion of our E from Power Word Stun. You speak a word of power, and if the creature has 150 hit points or lower, it's stunned. No saves, no legendary resistances. The creature can make a con save at the end of each of its turns to see if it can regain consciousness. Alright, now that we've completed the build, let's see how we did. First, the good. This build is very magical. Our Ferromancy is going to be hella fun and hella strong. We're also going to have a strong amount of utility, from zone control to magical discovery. And if we get into the thick of things, we can definitely survive a few swings before we have to tap out. Now the bad. As I alluded to a few seconds ago, we can't stay in the thick of the fray as long as a full tank could, but with our Magnet Storm, there won't be many people standing for us to stress about it. Other than that, the only other really bad thing is the lance is a very awkward weapon that doesn't lend itself well to unmounted combat. So, what'd you think? I've included a link to this build via D&D Beyond in the description below, as well as Amazon links to the books used in this build. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We have a few awesome rewards, including access to our Discord community and monthly homebrew releases. We plan on churning out one League Champion build every week. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you on the Rift, or in the Forgotten Realms.